Hello, Henry from Belgium here. Today, I'm sharing something truly special with you. LEGO Set 6542 Launch and Load Seaport, released in 1991. I have this set completely intact, including the original box, the manual, all the parts, and all 7 minifigures. I only recently managed to find it in such complete condition, and with the box too. And what a box it is! I'll get to that later. The set contains a total of 1,080 pieces, which is a lot. In fact, it's the first set in my collection to cross that 1,000-piece mark. And honestly, I truly believe this is one of the largest, most complete, and technically impressive sets ever released within the LEGO Town theme. I received it fully built, just like this, and it is a pity to tear it all down, just to rebuild it on camera. But no worries, I'll walk you through the entire set in detail, part by part, so you can see exactly what makes this one so remarkable. It came out in the same year as the Metroliner I reviewed last week, another legendary and expansive set. Imagine being a kid in 1991 and getting both the Metroliner and this container port. You'd feel like the luckiest child in the world. Before I really dive in, I should mention that in the same year, Set 6541 Intercoastal Seaport was also released. A set I also have in my collection, and which you can see in a separate video on my channel. Both sets share quite a few similarities, but 6541 is clearly a bit smaller and more limited in scope. 6542 Launch and Load Seaport feels like a real upgrade, and you notice that right away, just by looking at the box. The box itself is a size I had never encountered before in my collection. Compared to other legendary town boxes, this one really stands out. It's noticeably larger, measuring 58 by 35 by 10 centimeters. What I find especially interesting is that the box not only has a front flap, but that you can actually slide the entire top off the bottom section. Until recently, I didn't even know LEGO ever made boxes like this. I came across it for the first time with the 6597 Century Skyway from 1994. The only other set in my collection with this design. Thanks to that large surface, there's plenty of space for beautiful scene images, shots of play features, and creative alternate builds. It just makes the whole thing feel that much more special. And I always love it when I can get the original box along with the set. I assume there was originally an extra cardboard inlay inside, along with a clear plastic insert that displayed the most eye-catching parts when you opened the lid. As with most vintage sets, it's rare to still find those included. But that doesn't make this box any less impressive. What I have here is already fantastic. For me, this is true collector's quality. On the cover of the manual, you'll find the same beautiful image as on the box. What follows are 32 pages of clear and detailed instructions. It's one of those handy booklet formats I really like, and each step is broken down clearly, part by part. You also get a great overview of the parts included and everything there is to build, and that's quite a lot. A forklift, several cargo crates, a truck with trailer, a small and a large boat, a full crane system, and of course the dock, complete with finishing touches and a control post. So there's a lot to build, and honestly, I do regret a little that I didn't get to build it myself. But taking it apart now might damage the stickers, and I'd rather avoid that. I did notice that one sticker has gone missing. There's supposed to be a little number 2 here in the corner. That must have come off recently, so I'll have to go look for it later. Some of the stickers have also started to peel off over time, which is not unusual for sets this old. I'll need to be careful not to lose any more of them. After I finish this video, I'll go over everything again and use a special product to carefully reattach the stickers where needed. So, this is the full set, and I'm starting with the very first element, the forklift. And honestly, I think this is a really well-designed vehicle with a surprisingly high level of detail. The forks immediately stand out. It looks realistic, just like a real-life forklift. I haven't seen this particular type before. I mostly know the smaller black and yellow models, and honestly, I still love those because I remember using them as a kid to launch bricks at targets. In this set, it's a much more realistic version, with 2 separate forks. Interestingly, that fork piece only appears in 8 sets total, and the way it's mounted is quite clever. It's using modified plates and works like a hinge, which lets you tilt the forks, very useful when carrying a crate. Make sure the spring is included and still works, as it's essential to the functionality. The larger, more modern wheels are another eye-catcher, and I definitely want to mention the blue front and roof windows. They give the forklift a fresh, modern look. The overall finish is excellent. Printed tiles at the front and rear, roof lights, and a nicely shaped back. That shape is thanks in part to the use of 2 2x2 slope bricks with double concave. While those parts have been in production since 1957 and aren't rare, I don't actually come across them very often in sets. The stickers are a great added touch and really complete the look. I honestly can't say anything bad. It's just a really solid vehicle with high play value, especially when paired with the 5 crates included in this set. The second vehicle is the truck with trailer. It also looks fairly modern, mainly thanks to the wheels, but for me, that's where the excitement stops. The driver's cabin is a bit underwhelming. I would have liked to see some prints or stickers on the front or doors, maybe even a few extra details like roof lights or a lever. The cabin looks a bit too square and basic. It's a fairly standard design, quite similar to the one used in set 6, 5, 4, 1, and a few other sets from the same period. One element I do like is the use of modified plates with a 1x1 round brick in light grey. But the real highlight is definitely the trailer with the cargo crates. What immediately stands out here is the part used to connect it to the truck. It's a Technic axle with tow ball, which allows you to easily hook it up. This is a realistic detail as well. It uses modified plates as a hinge system and lifts the trailer slightly higher than the truck, making it easy to detach and drive away. Between the base and the wheels, there are modified tiles with pins that act like shock absorbers. A really nice touch and a smart bit of design. The crates themselves are solidly built and sit firmly on the trailer. Custom stickers give it that extra bit of visual flair. I also like that the same graphic is used here as the one from set 6375 Trans Air Carrier from 1990. The big difference though is that those were prints, and here we're talking about stickers. And finally, it's always a bit disappointing when LEGO gives you crates or cargo holds with nothing inside, which is again the case here. But all in all, I still think this is a well-designed truck. It's an extra vehicle in the set, and together with the forklift, it has a lot of play value. These 2 vehicles alone could have been a standalone set. Alright, let's move on to the boats. There are 2 included in this set. First thing to mention, these boats do not actually float. That becomes immediately clear when you look at the bottom. LEGO provides special curved plates that can be attached underneath, allowing the boats to slide smoothly over tables or floors. Floating LEGO boats usually have large, molded hull pieces that snap together, or a single-piece hull, and that's clearly not the case here. These ones are built entirely out of bricks, which make them more complex and detailed, but also less functional in water. Let's start with the smaller of the 2. At first glance, You might think it's a police boat, but the color scheme is all wrong. Police boats are typically black and white, and the sticker on the side reveals something else entirely. It says Pilot, along with the marking Y19. It serves an important role in the harbor. Its job is to pilot incoming cargo ships safely to shore by bringing a local maritime expert on board, someone who knows the area's waters, currents, and hazards. The Y19 marking is a fictional registration number, just like those found on real pilot boats. I think the execution is solid. It has a clean design, a nice color palette, and a decent amount of detailing. What I don't quite understand though, is the inclusion of a fold-out play feature. There's no bed, no seating area, and it's not really meant to carry cargo either. A minifigure doesn't really fit inside comfortably, but hey, a play feature is a play feature. I'm not going to complain about that. Next up is the cargo ship, and it definitely looks impressive. I imagine building it must have been a real joy, with lots of bricks and small parts involved. According to the manual, the bow is constructed using a variety of bow bricks, and some of those are actually quite rare. In red, for example, they only appear in this set. Even in other colors, they're only found in a handful of sets overall. The rest of the hull is made up of standard 1x6, 1x4, and 1x2 bricks. But what I personally love is that the top row is made entirely of panel pieces. Once again, the ship is decorated with several stickers. And this time, they're spread across multiple bricks. So if you ever plan to disassemble the set, you'll have to be really careful not to damage them. The hull, combined with the upper deck section and the cargo hatches, is great. It measures 30 centimeters, and I think the proportions are spot on. There's no actual cargo built into the hold, but I won't complain. There's plenty of space provided, and the set includes 3 cargo containers that can be placed on deck. There's even a 4th reserved spot for one of the containers from the truck. Each of the 3 crates contains a different type of cargo, and I think the designs are really clever and creative. I've seen individual engine blocks before in the Sail and Fly Marina set, but this one is even better, more realistic, with added bricks and hoses. One of the other crates holds a mini tractor, and another contains some assorted parts. A nice detail, all the panels on the sides have closed studs on top. These were only produced between 1991 and 1997. If you're buying this set second-hand, it's worth checking that detail. Many copies out there have had those panels replaced by ones with open studs. Longtime viewers will know how much I care about historical accuracy, so little things like that matter to me. The wheelhouse looks decent in terms of design and detailing, but I find the play features a bit limited. The lower part doesn't serve much purpose beyond decoration, and the roof can only partially open due to the elements mounted on top. The navigation tiles are printed, but not particularly original. They're the same ones used in many space sets. And finally, the anchor at the front, if that's even what it's meant to be, feels a bit underwhelming. For a cargo ship of this size, I would have expected a more robust anchor and winch system. But hey, it's still a play feature, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Despite a few small criticisms, I genuinely think this is a fantastic cargo vessel, especially for its time. Great colors, detailed decorations, lots of play value with the containers, and overall a really nice build. Before we take a look at the crane platform, let's first go over the 7 minifigures included in this set. They're true classics from the late 80s and early 90s, all featuring the iconic smiley face. No alternate expressions or new style heads, just that charming simplicity that defines the classic town era. And personally, that's still my favorite style. The policeman is one of my all-time favorites. Easily recognizable, timeless, dressed in the classic black uniform with a white cap. There are also 3 workers wearing overalls with chest pocket prints. What makes this set special? All 3 commonly used colors of this torso are included. The blue one is quite common, but the red and black versions appear in far fewer sets. Then we have 2 identical figures in black uniforms with a gold anchor emblem, the so-called boat admirals. This torso, with its elegant maritime look, has been used by LEGO since 1987 and remains relatively rare. Including it here adds an authentic, thematic accent to the set. It's a torso that collectors genuinely appreciate for both its design and its limited appearance across sets. The dock worker's torso is also quite rare. It only appears in 4 sets. What's important from a collector's point of view is that the white print is still crisp and that the torso is free of cracks or damage. What I really like about this selection is how well it fits the theme. It's visually diverse, functionally balanced, and clearly assembled with care. Each minifigure plays a role in the larger story of the harbor. And finally, 2 life vests are included as accessories. Just a small touch, but one that adds even more play value. And now we've arrived at the centerpiece of this set, the actual launch and load platform. The set measures 65 centimeters wide by 25 centimeters deep, making it a large and impressive display piece right away. The whole thing is built on 5 base plates. These plates appear in only a handful of sets. They're known as 16 by 16 raised base plates, and there's also a version with a ramp. They can easily be connected with bricks to build an extended harbor structure. You can also find a few of them in train stations, but they remain quite rare. The platform section includes a lot of smaller elements. Several printed tiles related to construction, some additional tiles along the edges, and these yellow bar handles. They're a nice touch. All these details really give you that harbor atmosphere. This fence piece is also a fun addition and was still a relatively new part back then. It's been in production since 1990. It looks realistic, although I find it a bit oversized compared to the minifigs. Personally, I prefer the regular 1x8 by 2 bar pieces. The base of the barrier uses a white support 1x16 lattice train signal mast, which is mostly found in light grey in some train sets. This white version appears in only 3 sets, so it's quite a rare part, and this set includes 4 of them at once. A blue radar dish is mounted here, also a relatively rare part, especially in blue. Most people will recognize it from classic space sets, where it typically appeared in light grey. The traffic light is simple, but clever. Just 2 modified 1x1 bricks with a red and green transclear plate on top, combined with an antenna. Simple but effective, and it looks realistic. The control post could have been a bit more elaborate or complex in terms of structure. Still, it's fully functional and offers room for fun storylines. One extra part really stands out to me here. LEGO could have just gone with a flat roof, nothing more, but instead they chose to add this neat little piece. Not a rare one by itself, but I love seeing it show up. My favorite version is the sleek black one like here, though it also exists in many other colors and variations with different prints. Remember what I mentioned earlier about open and closed studs? Well, the same applies to these windows. They should have closed studs, and in blue with closed studs, they only appear in a few sets. It's great that there's a swivel chair and a control panel. Though once again, the print on the tile feels more at home in a classic space set. This looks like a common piece, but it's not the telephone print most people know from that era. This particular print appears in 22 sets and only exists in black. It just shows a dotted pattern. And then the crane. It's sleek, functional, and with lots of nice decorative details. The crane runs on a kind of rail system, and that's a really clever feature. LEGO used train tracks here, the type normally meant for 12-volt trains. It's a smart application that works perfectly. Thanks to this system, the entire crane can move smoothly back and forth across the platform, which adds greatly to the playability. The crane includes lots of nice parts, but the yellow grabber is the absolute showpiece. Officially, this part is called the crane grab jaw, part number 2648. In yellow, it only appears in 2 sets, this one and an accessory pack from 1993. Yet despite its compact size, it's a technically refined element. When building, you have to thread the string precisely through the pulleys and the grabber, which requires some accuracy. Once it's set up properly, you can actually lift, move, and lower cargo crates, a functional play feature that was quite unique at the time. With the turning knob, you can move the whole mechanism forward and backward. And there's also the classic winch, which lets you raise or lower the string. Combined with the grabber, this clever mechanism is a fine piece of LEGO engineering, and it's exactly this kind of working feature that gives the Launch and Load Seaport its lasting legacy, still impressive even decades later. The cabine and armrest on 2 large prefab legs. These parts don't appear in many sets either, but they're not truly rare, as they were produced until 2009 and also show up in more modern sets. They exist in different colors as well. Another big plus, there are quite a few stickers here, and you really need them all if you want this set to be a proper collector's piece. A weighted brick is also attached to the lower plate. That's a clever detail, and actually necessary when lifting cargo. It prevents the crane from tipping forward. The entire structure feels industrial and realistic, with a strong focus on function and play. It's clear that this was designed with a narrative in mind. Unloading cargo, moving containers, operating ships. Everything makes sense. I'm genuinely happy to add this set to my collection today. It's definitely one of my top pieces so far. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a like. And if you'd like to see more every Sunday, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.